faithfully delivering value and interpreting great books worldwide. Hi, this is Sally's Book Club. Today we're exploring the book The Courage to Face, subtitle, Becoming Fearless and Unafraid of Yourself. Everyone has fears. Some dread spiders, others hate needles, and many fear public speaking. What scares you? Share your experiences in the comments below. For most, fear isn't overwhelming. They don't obsess daily and can push through when needed. But for some, facing fears triggers intense panic, even breathlessness. They constantly worry and avoid triggers, even without direct confrontation. This is what psychology calls phobia, causing profound suffering. One social phobia sufferer described, "I feel like prey, terrified of conversations anywhere. Responding simple questions make me blush and tremble uncontrollably." Every phobia sufferer yearns for relief from this torment. Today's book is a science-backed guide to phobias. Author Christophe André, renowned French psychologist and CBT pioneer, has authored multiple bestsellers. We've previously covered his works, The Power of Self-Esteem, Ubiquitous Personalities, and The 7 Emotions We're Born With. The Courage to Face spans 10 chapters at 150,000 words. André details phobia characteristics, causes, and concrete treatment methods. He aims to equip readers with courage to confront fears and live more freely. I'll break down the core content into 3 sections. First, what defines a phobia? Second, what causes phobias? Third, how are phobias treated? Starting with part 1, what is a phobia? To answer, we must first understand fear. The author describes fear as an alarm system that alerts us to danger, enabling preparation. Healthy fear assesses specific risks proportionally. It only activates when needed and shuts off after the danger passes. Suppose you see a tiger on TV or at the zoo. You might not feel fear, or if you do, it's mild because such tigers pose little danger. But when you see a tiger in the wild, you'll feel intense fear because it poses a real threat. Once it's gone, you calm down and don't stay fearful. That's normal fear. Alarm system. But phobia is a malfunctioning alarm system. It doesn't consider reality, can't shut off in time, and the fear is extremely intense. Take arachnophobia, for example. Sufferers constantly imagine spiders in closets or under beds, even without seeing any, causing anxiety and fear. If they actually see a spider, they might freeze in terror, panicked, without considering they could shoo it away. Even after the spider is gone, they keep worrying it might reappear. Why does the phobia sufferer's alarm system malfunction? This is related to the amygdala in the brain. Numerous animal experiments prove that the amygdala is the brain structure that triggers fear alarms.
Monkeys with damaged amygdalas, even if bitten by snakes before, will fearlessly approach and handle snakes.
Conversely, if the amygdala is electrically stimulated, animals feel intense fear even without any danger present. So, the amygdala doesn't work alone. It forms an alarm system with other brain structures. Fear alarms from the amygdala are processed by other brain structures. There are 2 main brain structures related to the amygdala, the hippocampus and the prefrontal cortex. The hippocampus handles memory functions and also processes environmental information about feared objects. For example, when Xiaowang sees a dog, he recalls memories related to dogs, whether he was bitten or had fun playing with one. Additionally, Xiaowang observes if it's a stray or pet dog and if there's an owner nearby. These functions are handled by the hippocampus, influencing Xiaowang's fear response to dogs. The prefrontal cortex is the brain's advanced thinking center. It integrates information from the amygdala, hippocampus, and other areas to formulate actions suited to the environment and needs. Again, using Xiaowang as an example, suppose Xiaowang was bitten by a dog before. When he sees a leashed border collie, he recalls that biting experience. His amygdala activates, making him fear the border collie. But then he remembers it was a stray dog that bit him, not a border collie, and border collies are famously gentle, especially when leashed. So his fear diminishes, and he even wants to pet the border collie. This entire thought process happens in the prefrontal cortex, showing how a healthy alarm system integrates multiple factors. While the hippocampus and prefrontal cortex normally restrain the amygdala's alarms, some people have hyperactive amygdalas that overwhelm these controls. Unable to think rationally, they remain in constant emotional activation, leading to phobia. Phobias fall into three categories. Specific phobias involve fear of animals or natural elements like pigeons, blood, or heights. Social phobia centers on fearing others' opinions, constantly worrying about being disliked. Panic disorder is the most intense form, characterized by sudden attacks. Fear sufferers fear their own bodily sensations, constantly checking for abnormalities or life-threatening dangers.
This worry amplifies physical discomfort, ultimately triggering panic attacks. During attacks, sufferers experience intense reactions like rapid heartbeat, suffocation, chills, or dizziness, often feeling they're dying or losing control.
All right, that covers phobia characteristics and types. Now let's examine phobia manifestations more closely. The author analyzes these through behavioral, psychological, and cognitive dimensions. First, behavioral signs. Avoidance is the most obvious trait. Sufferers exhaustively avoid feared objects or situations. Avoidance takes many forms. Some avoid locations, like pigeon phobics avoiding parks. Social phobics avoid crowds. Others avoid sensations, like panic sufferers avoiding breathlessness triggers. Some patients avoid wearing turtlenecks or ties in daily life. They fear these clothes might restrict breathing during a panic attack. While avoidance aims to reduce fear, it creates psychological reinforcement, convincing sufferers their fears are truly insurmountable. Long-term avoidance actually sustains the phobia. Now to psychological manifestations. Phobia sufferers maintain hypervigilance, constantly scanning environments for threat cues. For example, arachnophobes immediately search rooms for cobwebs in corners. Ailurophobes scrutinize floors for water bowls or sofas for claw marks. Discovering such clues triggers intense fear, even without the actual threat present. Psychologists find imagined fears can be more terrifying than reality. In studies, arachnophobes showed stronger fear responses to the word spider than to spider images. Psychologists explain hearing spider conjures horrific mental images, like giant hairy spiders chasing them. These mental projections are more vivid than any picture, keeping sufferers in constant fear. Hypervigilance also breeds negative interpretations, turning normal events into perceived dangers. As mentioned earlier, social phobics distrust compliments, thinking, they're probably mocking me secretly, creating imagined fears. Finally, cognitive manifestations, what the author calls emotional reasoning, where sufferers base conclusions on feelings rather than facts. Phobia sufferers think, my fear of dogs proves they're dangerous.
My racing heart means something's medically wrong.
These misinterpretations fuel escalating fear cycles.
During panic attacks, interpreting rapid heartbeat as danger signals increases anxiety, accelerating heart rate further, creating a vicious cycle where sufferers feel they're dying.
Clearly, the behavioral, psychological, and cognitive manifestations of phobia sustain and intensify it, creating a vicious cycle. That's why many find it hard to escape once trapped in phobia. All right, let's recap part one. Phobia is a malfunctioning alarm system. It ignores reality, can't shut off, and triggers extreme fear. Physiologically, phobia sufferers have hyperactive amygdalas that override other brain structures. Their amygdalas remain constantly activated. Phobias fall into three categories: specific phobias, social phobia, and panic disorder. Behavioral avoidance, psychological hypervigilance, and emotional reasoning all reinforce the phobia. So why do some people develop phobias? Part 2 explores the factors behind phobias. As mentioned, phobia sufferers' amygdalas are hyperactive, caused by three factors. First, innate personality traits. Some predispositions feature naturally active amygdalas, increasing vulnerability. The author describes two phobia-linked personality types. High sensitivity. These individuals are naturally hypersensitive, emotionally reactive, and respond intensely to fears. One patient told the author, "My phobia isn't accidental. I'm emotional in every aspect of life." Touching movies or sad music make me sob. Noise bothers me. Tobacco smoke makes me dizzy. My phobia is just another manifestation of this emotional sensitivity. The other phobia-linked personality is the inhibited type. Inhibited individuals feel heightened anxiety and fear toward unfamiliar things. Inhibited personality. An experiment with 1-month-olds showed this. When exposed to unfamiliar stimuli like strangers or robot toys, most babies initially hesitated to engage. But after a while, they'd approach, except some who refused entirely, showing anxious distress throughout. These infants exhibit inhibited personality traits. Studies show those with inhibited personalities in childhood are more prone to social phobia and panic attacks. Psychologists explain, inhibited individuals become more despondent after negative experiences, which leave deep impressions. This increases vulnerability to developing phobias. The second factor is acquired experiences. Many reactions stem from life events. Through these experiences, the amygdala becomes hyper-responsive to certain triggers. The author describes 3 experience types that cause phobias. First, traumatic events, life-threatening experiences. Though often single occurrences, they leave indelible marks. Many phobia sufferers have trauma histories. Accident survivors may develop driving phobias. Dog bite victims often develop cynophobia. In a study of 176 phobia patients, 20% had choking trauma. They become hypersensitive to trauma-related cues. One patient assaulted years prior had a panic attack on the subway, seemingly unrelated to his trauma. During therapy, he recalled smelling his assailant's aftershave on the subway before the attack. Second, repeated adverse experiences, less severe than trauma but cumulative in effect. The author's arachnophobic patient visited an old country house at age 9. During breakfast, he felt neck itching and discovered a huge black spider. Returning to his room, he found another spider on his pillow. Later, he spotted yet another while bathing. This series created lasting dread of spiders appearing anywhere, leading to arachnophobia. Social phobia similarly develops when sufferers endured childhood bullying or parental criticism, causing anxiety in social interactions. The third experience type is parental modeling. Children unconsciously imitate parents' behaviors. If parents fear something, children may perceive it as dangerous, developing phobias. One patient shared his mother's cynophobia. He told the author, "As a child, Mom and I encountered a large barking dog baring its teeth at us. Mom panicked, crying, shaking uncontrollably.
I thought, if even Mom's terrified, this dog must be deadly.
The owner eventually intervened. Though unharmed, he suffered nightmares for weeks afterward. This isn't about parents hiding fears, which is impossible anyway. Children sense parental fear regardless of masking attempts. The author advises parents to admit, "This isn't actually dangerous, but I'm still afraid," which is illogical. Such honesty helps children objectively assess dangers rather than inherit fears. Having covered acquired experiences, we now examine the third phobia factor. Medical research clearly shows higher phobia rates in women, roughly double men's incidence. Reasons include women's typically higher emotional intelligence and empathy. This sensitivity means more high-sensitivity personalities among women, increasing phobia vulnerability. The author argues cultural factors also contribute significantly. Many societies expect boys to be brave, encouraging them to confront fears, while accepting fearfulness in girls. This cultural bias makes women more fear-sensitive and less likely to develop coping skills. Consequently, women face higher phobia rates. To recap Part 2, phobias stem from 3 factors: innate personality, especially high sensitivity and inhibited types, acquired experiences, and sociocultural influences. Second, acquired experiences, trauma, repeated adverse experiences, and modeling. Those whose parents had such experiences are more prone to phobias. Third, sociocultural factors. Society encourages boys to confront fears while expecting girls to be timid. This acceptance makes women more fear-sensitive and less equipped to overcome it. That concludes the factors behind phobias. Now, Part 3, how to treat phobias. Before detailing methods, let's examine cure criteria. Phobia treatment doesn't aim to eliminate fear entirely. Fear is a natural human response that can't be eradicated. Therapists aim to help sufferers face and control fear so it doesn't disrupt daily life. Two criteria measure success: reduced avoidance behaviors and diminished fear intensity. Consider someone with pigeon phobia. Post-treatment, they might still fear pigeons but less intensely, no longer avoiding pigeon-populated areas. If a pigeon approaches, they won't freeze but can shoo it away. At this point, the phobia no longer significantly impacts their life. The second criterion is managing relapse. Like depression, phobias can recur even after symptom-free periods. The author views relapse as normal. Patients must understand phobias don't vanish overnight. Genuine improvement occurs. With continued treatment, relapse frequency or severity decrease, minimizing disruption. Now to specific treatment approaches. Two medically proven methods exist: medication and cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. Medication is complex. While antidepressants like Prozac exist, there are no dedicated anti-phobia drugs. So-called phobia medication involves prescribing antidepressants or anti-anxiety drugs based on individual cases. Phobias. Medication has significant variability. The author believes CBT is safer with superior long-term outcomes. Phobia treatment should prioritize cognitive therapy. With medication as supplementary support, CBT's core is helping patients objectively understand fears during exposure, discovering coping abilities to reduce irrational reactions and gain control. Two main CBT techniques. First, cognitive restructuring, analyzing what exactly they fear and its realistic likelihood. Realizing most fears are imagined, not real, builds courage to confront them. Patients must move beyond assumptions, gathering external information for accurate understanding. For example, arachnophobes might fear aggressive, lethal spiders attacking humans, but these are misconceptions. Research reveals most spider venom poses minimal threat. Bites typically cause mild irritation, with dangerous species mainly in rainforests. Spiders also fear humans as large predators and usually flee. Social phobics might fear blushing will cause ridicule.
They can directly ask others about perceptions of blushing.
Often, discovering it's unnoticeable or perceived positively. Cognitive restructuring prepares patients mentally for facing fears. Second CBT technique, exposure therapy, directly confronting feared objects or situations. Initial extreme fear diminishes with repeated exposure as patients realize manageable risks and personal capability. Two exposure types: interoceptive exposure for panic disorder.
Panic!
Since patients fear bodily sensations, they deliberately induce discomfort. Shake head or spinning to create dizziness, or doing stairs or push-ups to accelerate heartbeat.
Straw breathing with nose pinched creates controlled breathlessness.
Through these exercises, patients learn that bodily discomfort passes naturally. Nothing to panic about. The other exposure type is situational exposure for specific and social phobias. Situational exposure must be gradual. Start with low-intensity scenarios before advancing. For pigeon phobia, begin with photos and videos, progress to distant observation in pigeon-filled squares. Next, closely observe caged pigeons and attempt touching. Finally, feed pigeons while seated in the square. Social phobia treatment follows similar progression. Initially, patients practice enduring others' gazes. No speaking required yet. After acclimating, they practice speaking before others. Next, practice receiving and responding to comments. Ultimately, demonstrate incompetence publicly, like clumsy dancing or off-key singing. Two exposure essentials. First, sessions must be sufficiently long and repeated, typically 45+ minutes per session. 1 to 2 hours is ideal. Brief exposure is ineffective. Repetition reduces fear intensity and duration, enabling harder challenges. Second, avoid avoidance behaviors which sustain fear. Patients often use subtle avoidance. Social phobics, avoiding eye contact during conversations. Or panic sufferers holding furniture after spinning to prevent dizziness, undermining exposure effectiveness. Cognitive restructuring and exposure are core techniques. Avoidance must be minimized. The author offers additional fear management suggestions. 3 primary recommendations. First, Physical exercise. Studies confirm exercise improves mood and stress resilience, helping manage fear. Moreover, exercise induces rapid heartbeat, breathlessness, and sweating, mimicking panic attack sensations. If patients get accustomed to exercise-induced sensations, they'll handle phobia episodes better. The second fear reduction tip involves dietary awareness. No specific food cures phobias, but studies suggest omega-3 fatty acids may regulate mood, potentially helping alleviate fear. Omega-3 rich foods include salmon, tuna, walnuts, and canola oil. Some foods increase fear sensitivity. Coffee is a prime example. Excessive consumption heightens fear susceptibility and intensity. Phobia sufferers should minimize coffee. The third tip, relaxation techniques for chronically tense states. This heightened tension increases sensitivity to triggers and fear responses. Relaxation soothes mind-body, regulates emotions, reduces sensitivity, making fear episodes milder and recovery quicker. Various relaxation methods exist. The author recommends comfortable sitting or lying positions with calm breathing while focusing on body parts. Start at your toes, gradually moving attention upward through feet, abdomen, chest, to face and forehead. At each body area, consciously relax it with your breath. Ideally practice for dozens of minutes when possible. Short on time, a quick few-minute version still helps. Daily consistency is key for long-term fear reduction. All right, let's summarize. Part 3. Phobia treatment aims to help sufferers face or control fear without disrupting daily life. Cognitive behavioral therapy is primary, medication secondary. Core CBT techniques are cognitive restructuring and exposure therapy. Additionally, exercise, mindful eating, and relaxation help manage fear. This concludes The Courage to Face. People often mistake fear for lack of courage, but the author believes choosing to advance despite fear requires immense courage. Thus, phobia sufferers confronting fear through treatment demonstrate remarkable bravery. With this courage, they'll conquer fear and reclaim freedom. So, after listening to this episode, what useful methods have you discovered? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. Well, that's The Courage to Face. That concludes our discussion of this book. Reading notes are available below the audio. Until next time.